Any other questions? Yeah.
Yes, Dennis, we have three options.
Yeah.
Go through each option for me and tell me in each case who would have the power to set parking rates and fines?
You know, that to me is, I think of this two different ways. I think of it, A, as a planner and a practitioner of parking, where I would like to have more control of that, because I know that if I'm trying to change behaviors or trying to affect certain changes, having that in the commission or the parking director making a recommendation, the parking commission approving that would be a fairly positive thing. Right now, I think it's with City Council. Is that correct? You know, it could stay there, and I have no problem with that either. I think this is something that you probably need to look at on a fairly frequent basis, but I don't really, you know, I'm not a big advocate for raising parking rates just for the sake of raising rates. I think we have to be able to provide a range of programs and services that people would be willing to invest in order to support a rate increase of any kind. But in Boise, we put them on a 4-year rate increase cycle in Boise, because every year they were having this bloodbath in the press over parking rate increases. And we got the group back together, the parking advisory committee back together after 4 years, and basically what they said was, we said we've been deferring maintenance because the cost of this first hour free program was more than we anticipated. We asked them, you know, if we just eliminate that first hour free program, we don't have to raise parking rates. But here are the things that we would like to do as part of a parking investment strategy, and this is what a rate increase would support. And they unanimously said, we want to keep the first hour free. It's been one of the best things we've done here in town. So even in the face of that, this commission or this advisory group voted to recommend a parking rate increase to accomplish a set of very specific program initiatives. And so it's basically, you know, the parking program there has its work cut out for it. They have a very defined program of things they want to accomplish that the community has said they would support. It went to the board of the Capital City Development Corporation, and they approved it, and it was enacted. So their downtown association essentially is the one that runs parking, and they made the ultimate decision on parking rates. I like the idea. I would support the idea that the steering committee proposed that the parking commission be granted the authority to approve rate increases. I just think it's a little more efficient than having to go through a city council vote every single time you want to look at raising rates. And you have to essentially have the approval of the downtown stakeholders group, the parking commission group, which should be made up of downtown stakeholders and city officials before moving forward. But if that was seen as a deal breaker, I would say let's not get hung up on that. Let's leave it to city council. It's fine with me. Does anybody see any obstacles? I mean, to me, I just see this as just a simple matter of being more efficient and effective in the management of our parking resources, doing a little better job of integrating and aligning all of the different departments and services so that this really manages one system. To me, that's really what this is all about, and that's the ultimate goal. Does anybody see any reason why that should be very controversial?
Well, I will just say that I think as this moves forward, I, as a city councilman, go out and talk to a lot of my constituents and get the information out to the people who are actually going to be parking on the street, not just the stakeholders. I'm much more interested at this point in time what the citizens are going to think about this.
And I guess that's the reason I asked the question, because to me, this is probably the least controversial thing regarding parking that you could ever want to do. It's just basically saying we want to provide. We've looked around the country at what the best practices in parking management are in municipalities, and this is one of the things that makes a lot of sense. And it's just really reacting to the fact that we don't have a broken system. We just have a fairly common, horizontally fragmented system where this group might be doing a wonderful job managing this piece, and this group's doing a wonderful job managing this piece, and this group may be doing an okay job managing their piece. But the reality is that those three pieces aren't being managed with any thoughts about how the policies made over here affect things over here and how these policies over here affect these things over here. So it just, to me, makes sense that not only do we try to pull those three pieces together and manage them as one system, but we also do that with a sensitivity to the larger community goals and what we're trying to achieve. Because parking, to me, is just a support system. Parking, and I will say that this, back east, there are some pretty old and well-established parking authorities that I would be very critical of. They basically exist to promote their own existence year after year, and they raise rates to continue to fund programs and support, and they have grown to 20, 30, 40, 60 member staffs. And to me, they've really kind of lost touch with the idea that what we're really trying to do is provide public infrastructure assets for parking to support our larger community goals. We want more people downtown. We've done Harrison Square as a great development project to try to stimulate more activity downtown. How can we best support that? We're trying to get more downtown residential downtown. What kind of policies do we need for that? If Harrison Square starts impacting neighborhoods surrounding it, do we have the expertise to put effective neighborhood residential permit programs in place to help manage those issues for us? What can we do to make our facilities more attractive and safer and more positive experiences? One of the things in Boise that I thought was really fascinating was there was a whole list of things that I ended up calling them best-in-class initiatives. There were lots of interesting things in there, but one person on the Parking Advisory Board called them, tell us what we have to do, what you'd like us to do, and what would be nice to do. And that was the nice to do was this third category I'm talking about now. But in the end, these downtown stakeholders ended up supporting that rate increase largely because they saw these improvements to the parking system not as parking system improvements, but as downtown enhancements. Painting the interior facilities white, doing creative, engaging local artists in the community to come up with creative wayfinding themes, doing a better job of parking system identification and management. Every facility they have is a mixed-use facility in Boise. And sometimes we do such a good job of designing these facilities now that we actually hide them very well. And so getting signage out there. And the other thing that they've done really well is once they've really raised the bar on operations and standards in those facilities, you really want people to know, you want them to associate those high standards with your public facilities. Because sometimes people will go into a private facility and have a bad experience and just assume it's the city's facilities or the public facilities. So having a well-defined parking system brand and logo and signage plan that all ties it all together, and so that you're proud of the services that you offer in your public facilities and you really want to promote that as a positive asset for downtowns. To me, it just makes perfect sense that you'd want to manage these assets more effectively. We're really not talking about changing all that much except essentially putting a management overlay on top of everything so that we're making sure we get the most out of the current resources we have. We're doing effective planning for new projects coming forward, and that we're just better engaged with our community and more sensitive to the downtown stakeholders and try to develop a system that's more visitor friendly.